Hey guys, what's going on? Dan Schmidt here again. Day 3, Schneider owner operator orientation. Um, Today was pretty busy, pretty full. There was a lot. We went through a lot of different things. Um, Besides all the computer work we had to work on, we started out the morning going through. We got our permit books for all of our trucks. So we went through all of the stuff in the permit book. Um, we had the quarter 2 supplement, so we tore out all the pages that were in the quarter 2 supplement, and we put them into the permit book to make sure all those permits were current. Um, and then we set them to the side for later on when we were going to go out to our trucks. Um, and then we went over some load board stuff again. We went back into a PowerPoint simulation that they have that simulates the load board. Back to the same loads that we were fake picking yesterday. They went through all those loads again, kind of refreshed us on what the loads were, and then what loads we had picked or favorited. And then we assigned those loads, and we went through the trip planning for everything, making sure we had time for all of that. And then we went into the Qualcomm, and we actually completed 2 of the tasks that were on there. I think we did 2. Just to show people that don't know much or anything about the Qualcomm, about how to use them, how the different features work, how the tasks work in order, and how to complete them. So we went through all of that. We went through how to send in the trip paperwork. We didn't actually do the transflow, but we did fill out the information on the trip sheet. The paperwork that you have to send with the bill of lading and different things like that. So we went over that and did some more work on the Qualcomm, entered in more load information, making sure we knew how to do that. And then we had a safety manager come in, and he talked for about 2 hours or so, quite a while. And he went over a bunch of different things. He showed us what the safety side of things sees when they have somebody has a hard break or a critical event of some sort. He showed us how it shows up on their end and what they can see, and how if you have a camera in the truck, it actually includes the camera footage with that critical event. That way they can kind of get a really good idea of what happened, and whether it was your fault or not. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes somebody gets in front of you and slams on the brakes, forcing you to either hit the brakes or which would activate a hard braking alert, or it would also trigger a forward collision warning. I've had those before as a company driver. I've never had a hard braking event, but I have had 2 forward collision warnings, and I think I've had 2 stability control warnings, which means you took a corner just a little bit too fast. One I would say was my fault, the stability control, that is. I should have slowed down, and I just wasn't paying attention. It's not that I didn't think of it. I just didn't think of anything. I was just driving and got complacent and went around that corner too fast. The other one, it was a little bit of a spoof. It wasn't fast. I was going 16 miles an hour, and when you're entering the customer, you turn, but then there was like a bump sideways, and when I hit that bump, it jostled the truck just far enough that it activated the sensor. So when my DBL called me on that one, they're like, "Hey, you were going 16 miles an hour." I was like, "Yeah, I was turning into the customer. Might have been a little fast, but that's normally an okay speed if you're turning into a customer's lot. That's sufficient. It should be okay." But I said there's a bump at the entrance there, and the way that bump, and I think there was even a pothole at that point. The way those 2 were just kind of at that exact spot kind of triggered that. But they don't want to hear that. They want to hear, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to do what I can to prevent this from happening." It's all about safety. So that's what they want to hear. That's what they expect you to do. So yeah, but anyhow, that's the critical event stuff. So he went over critical events. He showed us some actual critical events that had come through for certain drivers who are not here anymore. These are drivers who had a critical event. The information was sent over to the DBL and the safety manager, and when they reviewed everything, they determined that the driver was at fault and the driving was unsafe. Um, and so it was the driver's fault. But I guess there were other incidences that caused that driver to not be here anymore. Maybe they had several of them. I think one of them actually had an accident, and he was terminated after that. But we actually saw the videos from that. He showed us an accident video. He showed us, what was the other one? There was one that was a hard break, and he showed us the video for that. And a guy actually tried to go around another 18-wheeler. He actually tried to pass an 18-wheeler on a standard two-lane road. There's no, two lanes on each side. It's just one lane on this side, one lane on the other side. And the guy saw what he thought was enough room and went to go around, and all of a sudden there was a big truck coming the other way, and he had to slam on the brakes and then tuck back behind the other 18-wheeler. Luckily did not have a head-on collision, but the other cars that were coming the other way actually had to get over on the side of the road, or there would have been a collision, and it wouldn't have been pretty. That same driver, and this is why he's not here anymore, because they showed us that the same driver had an incident where he had a hard break because he came up to an intersection. I forget exactly how it was, but I think there was a car going across the intersection, made like a turn, and he didn't see it in time and had to slam on the brakes and actually hit another vehicle in the intersection. He missed the first car and got stopped right before, crushing another car. I mean, he hit them, but it wasn't real bad. Luckily for them, anyhow. But he's not with the company anymore for stuff like that. It's at least 2 incidents he had. That kind of shows a history of a dangerous driver, and Schneider will not put up with that. So they were just showing us the crash mitigation system, how that works, how that sends alerts to them. So we went over that stuff. We had more PowerPoints. When that safety coordinator, the safety manager, was in the room talking for about 2 hours, he was actually on a conference call so that people in Phoenix and Green Bay, there was people in classes there, I guess, they were in on the conference call. That way they could hear him explaining it. He was able to put up a PowerPoint on their end. That way they were able to see what was going on, what he was explaining. That took over 2 hours. They went past lunch, but as soon as he was done, the trainers came in, the people that take you out on your road test, and they immediately took half of us out on a road test. The other half got to stay and eat lunch, while the first group of us went out and did our test. Make sure did our drive around the block basically. And so I went out there with my guy. I said, what do you want from me? He said, well, we're going to go for a drive. I'm like, do you want me to do my pre-trip first? Because I haven't seen the truck for a little bit. I should probably do a pre-trip. He's like, whatever you want to do. It's your truck. Okay. So I did, sort of a modified pre-trip. I had looked at it the other day. So I looked to make sure that everything seemed to be fastened securely. I didn't see any leaks or anything like that. The belts were in good condition. I just kind of glanced over things, checked the fluids. I didn't take a lot of time, and I probably should have, but, we had to get stuff done. So I glanced over the truck, deemed it safe, and we went and found an empty trailer. Did the hookup procedure to that empty trailer based on, Schneider's method of doing it, and we took off out of there, and we went and drove around the block. We did a little loop, not really around the OC quite. We kind of went up along 85, and then went around through town, looped on the other side, and then came back on 77, got back down on 85, took that north up towards the OC again, and then came back into the OC. Um, so yeah, it was a nice little drive, and he just told me, hey, left up here right at the second light, and he was just telling me where to go. Um, and he didn't try to trick you or put you on a road that wasn't a truck route. I mean, obviously I cleared everything before I got to it, making sure that I was allowed to turn there, but he didn't try to throw any, trick stuff in there and tell you to go down a road that you weren't even allowed to be on. He was only telling you where you were allowed to go, um, and where he wanted you to go. So, um, got done that, got back, dropped the empty trailer. He told me go ahead and drop him off in the fuel island and then go find a spot to park the bobtail. And I did that, went back inside, did more computer work, more of the CBTs and the videos that they want you to watch. Got some of that done. I actually ate lunch first, and then I went and did all that. And then the other guy, the trainer that took me out, there was another guy that he had to take out after that. So he went and got him. That guy had already eaten lunch, so he went out on the road, did his upgrade test. And pretty much everybody's going to pass that. It's not really anything particular. It's a drive around. So it's not really difficult. They just want to see that you know how to drive, that you know how to do it safely. So so we went back on the computers. We did more computer stuff. Let's see what else happened. I think they did another PowerPoint on something. I just can't remember. I didn't write down what that was. They did a few more things. And then they kind of told us what to expect tomorrow. Basically, we're going to go in. Anybody that doesn't have their computer work done, they're going to have to finish that up tomorrow. He wants to go over just a few more things, finishing up the dummy loads that we had scheduled, making sure all that stuff is done. At some point, we're going to, find out where we're supposed to pick up our empty trailer. We're going to gain our access to the load board, the official load board. And it sounds like we're supposed to be done pretty early. Hopefully by 10 o'clock, he's saying that we're supposed to be done, and we can start looking on the load board to see, when we're going to pick up our first load based on where we're sent for our empty. So hopefully by tomorrow, if I have time left, and I'm gonna look on my log, fill out my recap form, make sure that I'm gonna have enough hours left. I know I have plenty left on my 70. If I have enough left on my 14 and my my 8 would depend on my 14. But if I have enough left on my 14 tomorrow, when I get out of there, when I get done, and they release us, there's a chance I would go pick up the empty. But I got to see where it's going to be and what kind of loads I can find out of that area. So, there's a chance that I run a little bit tomorrow and then find somewhere to park. But the other option is to come back here to the motel and then go back on Friday morning and leave out from there. So it depends on what loads I find, and it depends on where I'm going for my empty. The one thing I do know is I would like to get home by Sunday. That wasn't the plan originally, but because I came down to orientation this week, my daughter's birthday, the oldest daughter, her birthday is on Sunday, the 29th. So I would like to be home for her birthday. If it doesn't happen, it is what it is, I guess, but that's not ideal. I would like to be home. I haven't missed too many of them, and I don't want to make it a habit of missing them. So that's my plan, be home on or by Sunday. If they can route me towards like Virginia to get an empty, that's going to be easy. I'll easily be able to get home. If they route me down to Jacksonville, might have a whole different story. It's going to be a little bit harder. They save freight going into Florida just fine. Coming out of Florida, hard to find something. So, we'll have to see what happens. I don't really know how it's going to go yet, but we'll figure that out. So, but anyhow, that's how today went. Very busy day today with all the computer work that we had to make sure we were getting done. Um, that way it's done before or by tomorrow. Um, the more we got done today, the less we would have to do tomorrow. Therefore, the shorter the day would go for us. Um, but yeah, that's what we did today. Day 3 of Schneider owner operator orientation. Um, I got somebody trying to call. They're gonna have to wait. So yeah, that's how today went. Um, if you didn't get to see day 2 and day 1, please go back and watch those videos. Um, don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I'm hoping to put more content on as I go along through this part of my career. Um, it's a whole different thing being owner operator from a company driver. So, um, I'll document as I go along. I'll put up videos here and there. I'll do some live feeds now and then. Um, so definitely subscribe if you're not already. Stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.